One of these three coffees, friends, will leave your teeth like this. And yes, unfortunately, even though coffee is great and I love it, one of these three coffees will damage your teeth much more than the other two. Which one is it? Stay tuned and don't miss it, because you're going to really like what I'm about to tell you. Friends, coffee is a real delight. In fact, I'm a huge coffee lover. I'm an amateur barista, but I love making my latte art. They're getting there. I'm going to show you some images of how the latte art is looking right now. But one of these three coffees I wouldn't drink even if it were offered to me. And why? Because I know the damage it does to your teeth. And in this video, I'll explain which one it is and why. Let's start with the one that does the least damage to your teeth. But first, I want to explain something. In the mouth, we have what's called a buffer effect, which is what saliva does to neutralize the pH of any food we consume, food or drink. When we drink an acidic beverage, it enters our mouth, it becomes acidic, and our saliva, our tongue, our pH balances out again over a certain amount of time. And that's why we dentists recommend that you don't brush your teeth until 30 minutes have passed after consuming some acidic food, because you have to wait for the mouth to neutralize that pH. And when brushing your teeth, we aren't scrubbing with acid. We've said that in many videos, but that's the explanation. Now, which of these three coffees is the one that'll do the least damage to your teeth? First of all, I'm going to tell you what each one is. This is a double espresso, which has approximately 36 to 40 milliliters, more or less. This is a cappuccino or a latte, where you can mix a single espresso with milk or a double espresso with milk, which would be called a flat white. And this is an Americano or a long coffee. All three have different flavors, all three have different customers. There are people who like to drink their coffee in their thermos, the typical school teacher you see all the time with a thermos, or the doctor who goes everywhere with his thermos and they drink their coffee there. This one's more casual. You sit with your family, talk with your friends, and the gossip is great. And this is more for the coffee lovers who enjoy coffee in its most special flavor, which is the espresso. Now, if we talk about which one does the least damage to your mouth, it's definitely the cappuccino or the latte. Why? Number one, the cappuccino or the latte comes with one shot of espresso, sometimes two, which is called a flat white, mixed with 150, 200, up to 300 milliliters of milk, any type of milk, almond milk, cow's milk, whichever you prefer. But the idea is that, like this one, you're mixing the espresso shot or shots with milk, so the coffee content is greatly reduced, and that also causes the pH to change. Obviously, it'll depend on what milk you mix it with. Some milks have a slightly more acidic pH than others, but the pH is definitely lower than that of black coffee. Therefore, it'll affect both the staining of your teeth and the development of cavities less. As I've explained before, the more acidic the pH in the mouth, the more it favors the presence of bacteria like Streptococcus mutans, which also causes cavities. Therefore, the more acidic our mouth is, the more likely we are to have cavities. This coffee won't change the acidity, and it won't stain your teeth as much either, because the coffee content is mixed with milk and it doesn't stain your teeth. It doesn't discolor them. Now, so we've already said this one does the least damage. Which of these two do you think does more damage to your mouth? I want to see it in the comments. Are you ready? Second place goes to espresso. And you'll say, but how if it's more concentrated and more acidic? That's right, friends, but guess what? It's not just the dose, but the exposure time. Normally, a single or double espresso takes you about 3 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe at most 10 minutes, which is very rare. Why? Because it's a coffee you enjoy quickly and then on to the next thing. And sometimes in some countries, even after the espresso, they rinse their mouths, which I find extraordinary, because then you remove all that excess pigment that's in your mouth, you help quickly neutralize the acidity of the mouth, and then your mouth quickly, after about 20 minutes, half an hour, is back to a stable base. That is not very acidic. That's why this one, believe it or not, does less damage than this one. Now, as for staining the teeth, this one can also stain a bit more than this one. Why? Because it has a higher concentration of coffee. And if you drink it and don't rinse your mouth afterwards, if it's a habit you do every day, it can definitely stain them quite a bit more than this one. But let's talk about the worst of all, which is this coffee. Friends, this coffee, unfortunately, is the one that causes the worst breath. It's the one that stains teeth the most, and it's the one that causes the most acidity in your mouth, which can also lead to more cavities. Why? Because you're drinking it all day long. The mouth's natural buffering effect to counteract acidity is impossible with this one, because every 20 minutes you take a sip, so your mouth never gets to establish that normal pH, and you're keeping your pH acidic all the time. Now, personally, this coffee also gives me some doubts. I'll explain why. Because the amount of caffeine this has is much higher than what these two have. Even though this one is more concentrated, it's been shown that long coffee is exposed more to the coffee beans and extracts more caffeine. And that, friends, gives you besides more acidity, more anxiety, and what we don't want to combine is anxiety with acidity. Because if you have an acidic environment in your mouth all day, and on top of that, you're anxious, you're going to be clenching your teeth. It's very common, and that's going to destroy them. Therefore, when I see a patient who comes in with teeth destroyed by acidity, it's almost certainly because they're drinking this type of coffee and not these two. Keep that in mind. So, as a dentist, which one do I recommend? Definitely the espresso. It's very good, as long as you rinse your mouth afterwards so that pigment doesn't stay on your teeth. You can also drink this one without a problem, but you'll also have to consult with your nutritionist. Because since you add milk, please don't add sugar. Don't ruin it like that. But if you add milk, you're already adding other factors that also have to do with the diet, with the sugar, the glucose. But anyway, that's a piece of advice, and I hope this video helps you. Send this video to your friend who carries a thermos and can't let go of it all the time. Tell him to watch out because it's going to destroy your teeth, it's going to make your teeth yellower, more destroyed like we saw a moment ago, and your breath, well, it's definitely not going to improve. Take care and subscribe to the channel. You know, it's a channel made for you to help you with your health, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.
Yeah, it's better.
Right?